Once you've installed your Teo UC, it's time to configure it. Let's start by logging in as an admin and configuring the system. The system module allows you to configure network, time, security, and SIP and media settings for the Teo UC. Generally, these settings are configured during initial setup and then stay static for the operation of the system. On the network screen, you configure the Teo UC's hostname, IP settings, DNS settings, and static routes if needed. While the Teo UC does support DHCP, we recommend deploying with static network values as a best practice. On the time screen, you configure Teo UC's time zone and set time via NTP server or manually. This controls how the time appears in system logs and other global values, but does not control the time zone for users and auto attendants, which can be set independently. The certificate screen allows you to create a self-signed certificate or upload one from a certificate authority. It is a recommended best practice to install a certificate from a trusted CA for production deployments to eliminate browser warnings for your users. Firewall settings are automatically generated for Teo UC, but in some rare cases you may need to adjust them. If so, you can use the firewall screen to set custom rules, enable access to SSH, or even disable the included firewall entirely. The intrusion prevention screen allows you to explicitly allow or block IP addresses attempting to connect to the UC server. In addition, anything that has been automatically blocked by the intrusion prevention service will be visible, with quick options to add that address to the allow or block list. The notification screen allows you to configure an SMTP server for voicemail, fax, call recording, and emergency call notifications. While notifications can be sent via the integrated local mail server, using an external SMTP server is recommended for deliverability. The SIP media screen is where you configure signaling and media settings for Teo UC. This includes the transport section for SIP and RTP ports, NAT traversal settings for remote devices, an optional SIP capture agent for diagnostics, quality of service tagging for SIP and RTP traffic, and audio and video codecs. Once you've finished configuring the system elements, it's time to configure global settings, including tenants, SIP trunking, and additional administrators. We'll cover that and more in our next video. The global module is where you configure elements of the Teo UC that aren't inside of a single tenant. This includes creating and managing tenants, managing the system license, defining SIP trunks and carrier routing, and configuring system-level administrators. The tenant screen allows you to view and manage your tenants. All systems will start with the default Teo tenant, and additional tenants can be added as needed. Inside of each tenant, you can assign licenses, view storage utilization, run configuration reports, and assign tenant-level admins. The license screen allows you to view and load licenses for the Teo UC system. The SIP trunk screen is where you configure your connection to SIP trunk providers, including West Telcom. SIP trunks are then assigned to carriers for use inside of the dial plan of your tenants. Each carrier can have one or more trunk assigned to it, and multiple rates and patterns to customize outbound call routing. System-level administrators can be assigned to one of 3 levels with access to reports, dial plans, and users, and all system capabilities, depending on the assigned role. The dial plan is the heart of tenant configuration. From here you can configure the digit map, inbound and outbound routing, destinations such as auto attendants and hunt groups, user extensions, and more. The digit map is where you assign ranges to various features and destinations inside the system. Once mapped, they are available for configuration in the rest of the dial plan. The DID number screen allows you to map inbound calls to internal destinations. This can be to a user, a fax server, auto attendants, hunt groups, ACD queues, or a conference bridge. The blocked caller screen allows you to block callers from reaching the system. If the entered caller ID is received by the system, it will be immediately rejected. Access codes allow you to control how outbound calls are routed. With support for a no-digits mode as well as 1- and 2-digit access codes, Teo UC can support a variety of outbound calling scenarios. Each access code will have one or more carriers assigned to it, and each carrier can have unique caller IDs for full control of how outbound calls are offered. Dialing rules control what numbers users are allowed to dial, with pre-built rules for common call types as well as the ability to define custom patterns. Different dialing groups can be configured to make sure that every user can only dial the numbers they need. The emergency numbers screen allows you to set default routes for emergency calls. It is recommended that in addition to setting this default route, all users be placed in an emergency site and zone to ensure the proper information is sent on every emergency call. The operator screen allows you to define what happens when a caller attempts to reach the operator. This can also be used as a shortcut when configuring auto attendants and exit destinations for ACD queues and hunt groups. The auto attendance screen allows you to configure menus and schedules for routing calls. With options for open hours, after hours, and holidays, you can customize behavior based on time of day of week, and special occasions. With the ability to create multiple menus, auto attendance can be as simple or as complex as needed to match the customer's desired call flow. In addition to presenting a menu, auto attendance can be set in an immediate exit mode where they will forward to any other destination. This allows for flexible call routing where, for example, calls can be configured to reach a hunt group during the day and go to a menu after hours. The Hunt Group screen allows you to configure hunt groups for distributing calls to multiple extensions. With options to ring members sequentially or simultaneously, and transfer destinations to route calls onwards if unanswered, hunt groups offer a straightforward call routing option. The ACD screen is where you create and manage ACD queues. With multiple distribution strategies, including round robin, longest idle, and least talk time, tier levels, and call prioritization options, ACD queues allow for much greater control over call flows in hunt groups. Additionally, ACD queues offer a supervisor view, allowing for real-time monitoring of calls. You can configure and assign audio conference bridges in the conference room screen. These bridges can be optionally assigned to a user to allow them to manage their own conference bridge, or they may be admin controlled. While each user extension has a dedicated voicemail box, the group voicemail screen allows you to create and manage voicemail boxes that are accessible by multiple users. With options accessed via the phone or the user's voicemail interface, group voicemails are an easy way to make sure that voicemail messages get to the right place. To enable users to make and receive calls, they are assigned to an extension. The user extension interface is where all aspects of the user are configured. In addition to managing the user's profile, you can set schedules, configure call routing, manage voicemail greetings, set storage quotas, manage email notifications, and configure devices for the user. In the user's profile, you can configure the user's account and credentials, emergency call routing, dialing groups, caller ID, and more. The Schedule tab allows you to set work schedules, holidays, and vacation days for the user. This will automatically adjust the user's presence to reflect the schedule and can be combined with call routing controls to schedule changes to how calls to the user are handled. The Routing tab allows you to build call routing options for various present states. With options for up to 4 destinations, this allows administrators and users to ring multiple extensions, external numbers such as a cell phone, or other destinations such as an ACD queue or group voicemail box when the user is called. Each present state can have its own routing rules to handle different scenarios. The Greetings tab allows you to upload and select from a user's recorded name and up to 10 voicemail greetings. This provides an easy way to manage a user's voicemail greeting without dialing into the voicemail box. The Storage tab allows you to set storage quotas for voicemail, call recordings, and faxes, and a control if call recording is enabled on the user's extension. The Notifications tab allows you to configure email notifications for voicemails, call recordings, and faxes. The Devices tab allows you to configure the user's devices. This includes desktop and mobile soft phones, Teo branded desk phones, and third-party devices. For Teo branded desk phones, you can configure almost everything about how the device operates, including dialing modes and multifunction key assignments. The Emergency Alerting section is where sites and notifiees are configured. Each site is configured with one or more zones, with each zone having an emergency location identification number that is sent as the caller ID number when an assigned user makes an emergency call. The Notifiee screen allows you to configure users that will receive notification emails when an emergency call is placed. The users are set to monitor one or more zones and will receive an alert when an emergency call is placed from that zone. A secondary alert will be sent when an emergency call completes. The Teo UC allows for multiple music on hold playlists. While only one playlist can be selected as the default, any destination that can hold a call, including hunt groups and ACD queues, can be assigned to a different playlist. This allows for custom messaging to be played depending on where in the dial plan a caller is connected to. Call monitoring is where you configure groups that can be monitored, with options for the monitor to whisper to the monitored user or to barge in and force a conference call. While you can configure everything for a tenant inside the dial plan, it can be a time-consuming process with larger numbers of users. This is where the Users and Devices section comes into play. From here, you can import user lists, create and manage templates for users and devices, and provision new and existing users. The User Import screen allows you to upload a CSV of users into the system, which can then be provisioned to extensions using a user template. Once you've imported users into the system, you can view and modify them through the Unassigned Users view. Device templates let you modify the default values used when adding a new device to a user extension or provision new settings to an existing device or group of devices. With access to all of the same controls as in the User Extension Devices tab, you can easily assign or update large groups of devices in the same time it would take you to configure a single device. User templates let you assign new users or modify existing users with all the same settings as if you were to manually configure them. With the ability to add device templates to a user template, you can have a fully built user extension configured in seconds. The provisioning interface is where you apply your user and device templates to assign new user extensions or update existing users and devices. This allows you to rapidly apply changes to a large number of users at once, and is the recommended approach for making mass changes. Once your dial plan and users have been configured, you can use the Reports module to monitor the system. View current status with the active calls and user search tools, search for and find specific calls with the Search Calls tool, or generate detailed or summary call reports. The active calls screen will show you all calls for the currently selected tenant with caller ID and duration. The user status screen is a searchable list of all configured user extensions, displaying the current present state and number of registered devices. Clicking into a user will show you details, including ACD agent status if applicable, and detailed information on the user's devices. The Search Calls interface allows you to find records for individual calls, with the ability to search by name and number. Clicking into a call will show you a detailed call flow so you can see every step the call took. You can use the Detailed Reports screen to build custom call detail records based on time, type of call, and advanced filters. With the ability to choose exactly the information provided, the generated report can be tailored to a number of needs. Summary reports come in 5 varieties, with reports for all users, inbound calls, outbound calls, faxing, and ACD queues. The reports can be grouped based on a user's report category, such as location, department, or manager. ACD reports can be filtered to one or more ACD queues and can select different time intervals to control the level of detail in the report. Both detailed and summary reports can be scheduled for one-off or recurring delivery. The recipients will receive an email with a link to download the reports, allowing reports to be shared without the need for admin privileges.